In just 3 years, a century-old royal dynasty was completely wiped off the map. It was replaced by one of the most famous and controversial kings in all of history, Herod the Great. Today, we're going to break down the lightning-fast war that put him there. It's a story of invasion, ambition, and a political gamble that changed the course of Judea forever.
So, how does that even happen? I mean, think about it. A dynasty that's been ruling for over 100 years, just gone. In only 3 years? How? Well, the answer lies in a perfect storm of foreign invasion and raw personal ambition.
Yeah, this was not some simple conquest. This story was driven by a massive invasion, some serious ambition, and honestly, a desperate political gamble that completely reshaped the entire region. It all starts with a kingdom that was already in chaos.
Okay, so to really get how this whole fire started, you got to look at the powder keg it was lit in. Back in 41 BCE, Judea was a kingdom walking a very, very thin political tightrope.
You see, by 41 BCE, Judea had been what they call a client state of Rome for decades. Now, that doesn't mean Rome ruled it directly, but make no mistake, Rome was the ultimate power broker. And their priorities? Super simple. Loyalty and stability on their kind of volatile eastern border. You know, as long as things stayed quiet and the taxes kept flowing, Rome was pretty content to just let the local guys manage the day-to-day.
And Rome's main guy in the east? That was Mark Antony. He appointed these two local brothers, Herod and Phozabale, to basically enforce Rome's will. Now, they weren't kings, not yet anyway, but they held the real power. Their job was to prop up the high priest, a guy named Hyrcanus II, and just keep things stable. But, as you can probably guess, that stability was about to get absolutely shattered.
So, what this whole conflict really boils down to is a clash between two men, and each one of them represents a completely different vision for Judea's future.
Okay, so on one side, you've got Antigonus. He's from the Hasmonean dynasty. He's got the royal bloodline, he's got history, tradition, legitimacy, the whole shebang. And then on the other side, you've got Herod, a super shrewd political operator with, let's be clear, zero royal blood. But he's got powerful friends in Rome. So it's this classic showdown, right? The power of tradition versus the power of just pure, raw ambition.
So you've got this really fragile piece, this delicate balance of power, and then, boom, it all comes crashing down. The entire chessboard is about to get flipped right over.
So, in 40 BCE, the Parthian Empire, Rome's biggest rival, comes storming into the region. It's total chaos. And Antigonus, he sees his chance and allies with them. I mean, it's a brilliant and totally stunning move. He uses that Parthian muscle to capture Jerusalem, reclaim his family's throne, and what happens to Herod? He's forced to flee for his life.
Okay, now let's just stop and think about it from Herod's perspective for a second. He's been defeated. His brother is a prisoner. He is literally on the run. I mean, it looks like it's over, right? Game over. Well, not quite. He decides to make this incredibly desperate gamble that is going to change everything.
He flees straight to the heart of power, Rome itself. But here's where he's so brilliant. He doesn't go in there and ask for the throne for himself. No way. His official mission is to plead for the old high priest, Hyrcanus, to be restored. You see what he's doing? He masterfully frames the whole thing as being about Rome's interests, about stability, not about his own ambition.
And the Roman Senate's response? It was just pure cold calculation. Look, they didn't care about the Hasmonean family tree, not one bit. All they cared about was, who's going to be our guy? Who was the most reliable? Who was the most ruthless? And, maybe most importantly, who could protect that border from Parthia?
So in this absolutely stunning political pivot, the Senate makes its decision. They don't just agree to help Herod, they completely bypass the old dynasty and declare Herod the new king of Judea. I mean, the outcome was just incredible. Think about it. Herod goes to Rome to ask for a crown for his old boss and walks out wearing it himself.
Right, but a title from the Roman Senate is one thing. Actually winning a kingdom is something else entirely. Herod's crown wasn't a gift, it was a claim. Now he had to go back to Judea and fight for it, city by city, town by town.
So Herod returns, and he doesn't just have a fancy new title, he has Roman support and a very clear strategy. Step 1, assemble a loyal army. Step 2, conquer the countryside, cutting off support for his rival. Step 3, forge new alliances with local power brokers. And the final step, the end game, lay siege to the capital, Jerusalem, and take out the final boss.
And here's another one of his brilliant moves.
Part of this whole strategy was winning over hearts and minds. So what does he do? He marries a woman named Mariamne. Now, get this. She is the granddaughter of the old high priest and the niece of his rival, Antigonus. I mean, this was an absolute masterstroke. He's welding his new, Roman-backed power to the old, respected Hasmonean bloodline.
Okay, so after nearly 3 long, brutal years of fighting all across the countryside, the war finally reaches its bloody climax.
The year is 37 BCE, and the final showdown is happening right at the walls of Jerusalem, where Antigonus has dug in for his last stand.
But Herod isn't alone. Oh no. He's been reinforced by the Roman governor of Syria, a guy named Sosius, and his legions. So their combined army lays siege to Jerusalem, and after a long, brutal fight, they breach the walls and take the city in just vicious street-to-street fighting.
So the fall of Jerusalem, it wasn't just the end of a siege. It was truly the end of an era. An entire century of Hasmonean rule had just been wiped out, and a new, and you could argue much more brutal, age was dawning.
But what happens to Antigonus? Well, to secure his brand new dynasty, Herod knew he had to eliminate the old one. He had his rivals sent to Mark Antony, who had him executed. Look, it was ruthless, for sure, but it was also a politically necessary act. You just couldn't leave a legitimate royal claimant alive to become a rallying point for a rebellion. And with that final act of elimination, the Hasmonean dynasty was officially over. In its place rose the Herodian dynasty, a royal house born of war, and one that was completely, 100% dependent on the power of Rome. So, Herod had won the war. He had the crown. But a totally new struggle was just beginning. And it's the question that would haunt his entire reign. Could a king who was put on the throne by a foreign power ever truly win the hearts of his own people? This question would define his long and really controversial reign. A time of magnificent construction, yeah, but also one of paranoia, brutality, and tyranny. The war for the crown was over, but the struggle for Judea's Saul, that was just beginning.